Commercial Construction Coffee Talk fans, thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corus, and I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction Renovation magazine. Hey, this is what it actually used to look like when we were printing it, but now we're 100% digital. Man, it was a good-looking magazine when it was in print. Anyway, but been digital since August of 2021. And here are some of our, Mr. JLL below me. I've got Mr. Chris from Mammoth Car Wash. Got Tim Holton. Got the chicken guy above me. Got Valor Hospitality, VP of Construction and Design, coming up on my next cover that I'll post here in a couple days, along with our new website. Finally, it's here. And anyway, I just had another, I was just below 2.9 million people in September consuming content. And I'm hoping that we'll go over 3 million either this month or the next month. And that'll be an awesome benchmark. You know, everybody coming, you know, eating content, looking at the magazine. You know, it's just been digital is an amazing thing. You know, I was a print face-to-face guy, and I became digital, and now I'm a digital guy. And you know, I don't miss the printer, I don't miss the post office, I don't miss any of those. You know, it's a whole new ball game. And hey, you know what the amazing thing about digital is? Hey, if you make a little mistake, boom, you can fix it. You don't have to worry about it because magazines are already printed out there. That's the amazing things. So, and as a publisher, you're always going to have a typo. You can look at it 100 times, just like a construction project. You can look at your plans 100 times, and then it gets out there and you got to fix things. So anyway, got a lot going on in the world today. We'll talk some sports. Got the MLB playoffs. Our Braves took it on the chin last night to the Phillies, lost 7-6. And looks like all the road teams are winning, you know, in the playoffs. But listen, best of 5. They got another game today. Got to win that to make, you know, get the series even. Falcons took it on the chin for the Bucks. Everybody, the NFL, there's only the Eagles are the only undefeated team in the league, 5-0. And I'm from Philly, so you know, go Eagles. And but you know, there's a lot of teams. You know, it always comes down to a couple of plays. You got the NHL starting, got the you know, you got the NBA starting. You got fall ball and lacrosse. And my University of Denver Pioneers, they opened up the weekend against last weekend, Friday night. They beat the Irish at home, and then Saturday night they play University of Maine and beat both of those guys. So we're 2-0. We're still ranked number 1 in the country, defending our national championship, number 9 from last year, and hopefully they're going for number 10. And so lots going on. University of Georgia, once again, still undefeated. I think well, they were ranked number 2. I don't know what they are ranked this year. You know, this week Bama barely won, but all in all, exciting stuff here. You know, in the ATL. You know, and today a little cloudy. I've just seen sun and no humidity, just beautiful weather here in the South. It's been unreally how nice it is. We like going out late in the afternoon or early evening for a ride out in the boat. No one's out on the lake. Smooth, awesome time to ski or wakeboard. And you know, listen, I wear a full wetsuit. I'll ski all the way till December if I can. So anyway, the lake is just, Lake Lanier is just awesome this time of year because, you know, pretty much summer's over and kids are doing, you know, football practice and you got to run around. No one's up on the lake. Even on the weekends, it's not that busy. So it's hump day today and here in the ATL. And this morning, I have a gentleman down in Fort Lauderdale. He's an Aussie, and his name is Joel Hutchins, and he is VP of Industrial. Did I get it right, Joel?
Industrialized Construction.
Industrialized Construction. Thank you. I had a, you know, I was brain going. I got it right. And he's with a company called Slate Technology, and what they do is they have a digital assistant that's an AI, and it actually helps you make better decisions on your construction site. You know, using AI. And you know, listen, we all need help when you're on the construction site. You know, you might think you got things right on the plans, and then you get out there and you're like, wow, this thing, you know. So with technology, just like we're on here on Zoom, you know, technology is improving our lives every day. And so I thought it would be pretty cool to have Joel on to talk about how, you know, you got everybody out there in construction, your construction sites, you know, might be able to be more efficient or make better decisions and, you know, calculations, et cetera, and all that stuff. So Joel, say hello from Fort Lauderdale, down in South Florida.
G'day. Thanks for having us on, Dave.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate you coming in and being a guest. And so obviously you're from Australia, correct?
Grew up in Australia, moved over here. Love it here, but yeah, still got the Aussie accent, still very strong, and yeah, still really call Australia home.
Well, you know what? I'm from the Northeast. I'm a Yankee living in the South. So, up in Northeast, you got Boston, you got New York, you got Jersey, you got Philly. So we all have our accents. I actually have kind of lost my accent, but some people can still, hey, where are you from? But Aussies, you can always tell you're an Aussie, or a Zealander, a Kiwi, whatever.
Yeah, you're an Aussie, Kiwi. I get a South Africa a lot. Everyone thinks I'm South African, but that might just be, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. There's a lot of the yachties. Everybody works on yachts, and you've got Australian, Kiwis, and South Africans. Everyone always gets a little bit confused, but yeah, still a very strong accent. And the more time I spend here in the US, the more I'm starting to understand all the US accents and pick up where people are from as well.
Well, welcome to the yes. We like having you here, and we're the melting pot here in the States. So here's how it's going to work, Joel. We do it in 3 parts here on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. You'll tell your story, where you grew up, brothers, sisters playing these sports, and then how you got into where you are today. Then we'll talk about the roller coaster over the last 30 months, lessons learned, any new products that you might have coming out. And then you'll leave our audience with one positive thought or phrase, your contact info, and then we'll close it out. So with that said, the floor is yours, Joel. Tell us your story.
Yeah, awesome. So as you mentioned, I grew up in Australia. I played rugby, played at a very high level, played all over the world. That was life, right? That and surfing. I still managed to get the surfing in most days. Growing up in Australia, that's what you do. I grew up on the Gold Coast, some of the best surf in the world. So grew up there, rugby, traveled the world, and then really fell into carpentry, became a carpenter. Grew up really with my parents renovating every year. They would renovate, they climbed the property ladder, and being just around them, not in construction, but just loved it, right? And in real estate. So fell into carpentry and then evolved, really started to get into the building side, into the GC side before I did a development. I jumped in and did a development project myself and designed it. And that was featured in a magazine. And it was, it was a real sort of highlight of my career, which then I decided, well, you know what, I'm going to go study architecture. I'd finished my rugby career. I was fortunate enough that I could go and do that. Went in, studied architecture. Once I started studying architecture, I really wasn't a drawer. I could draw, but this idea of drawing and then producing design intent and then passing that off and leaving that up to someone else, didn't resonate with me. There was all this new technology. There was CNC machines, all these like robotics. And then there was this idea of computational design, and not being even a coder myself, but this idea that I could design something to run a machine, have the machine produce a kit of parts, and then put that together just fascinated me. That's where I wanted to go, right? That I could leave it in what we now refer to as design for manufacturing and assembly, DFMA. It's the new buzzword of the industry. I was really at the forefront of that. I was looking at how we built, how anything else is designed that we engage with, our phones, consumer electronics, all of this idea that we could actually design it to the machinery, have a kit of parts come together on site. And I didn't really need to produce drawings. So I sort of worked my career or my architecture schooling with that in mind. I pushed that to the absolute extreme. Then once I finished my bachelor degree, I went and lucky enough to go work in Tokyo for a famous architect, Shigeru Ban, where they did a lot of curvy, wavy timber structure. And I, again, pushed it to the extreme there, did a lot of the computational design, a lot of the coding to run machines, and worked with the big engineering firms. Before I returned to Australia, while studying my master's, started a company called Studio Workshop. Design, fabricate, build is really the tagline that we had there. We started, a friend of mine and I started that company. We started building decks, docks, everything we could to pay the bills, first of all, to buy a CNC machine. And then we looked at how could we design something to run and build a kit of parts on the machinery, and then have that go out and that be the product. so that, you know, how could we start to create products rather than just projects? And we sort of, a lot of people refer to the McKinsey report recently with that, but that's where we're at. As we progressed through that, we really started to find ourselves in between architect and builder a lot. Architects would produce something, design it, builder, GC would receive it. We sort of sat in the middle saying, we'll help you solve, how do you actually build that? How do we create a kit of parts? How do we leverage machinery and technology to do so? And then create a kit of parts and ship that off, or have that arrive on site. That then led to industrialized construction, modern methods of construction, offsite, whatever we want to call that. You know, we all refer to it in different sort of terminology, but led to this idea that, well, really being pulled in by GCs and other people to help solve those issues, or to, when they were looking to adopt more industrialized construction, how could they do so? This is really where my career took an absolute turn. I was doing developments. I was doing well with the architecture firm. I put it all to the side and said, you know what? The problem here is that we have all of this great machinery, all of this offsite manufacturing, but any of the benefits of that we could gain through offsite is lost in the process, because we have to redesign projects, and every machine takes its own code, its own design, its own knowledge. We need to do a better job of solving that. And that was where we started Splash Modular. Splash Modular, although it was a bathroom pod manufacturing business, was based around the idea that we could actually design the bathroom pod to leverage widely available machinery. And then we could automate the design process so that we could take a design, run it through our automated software. It would produce right the way down to the machinery files, the shop drawings autonomously. And then that was our product. So we actually didn't build the bathrooms ourselves. We licensed it to somebody else, ran the supply chain machinery, had the kit of parts show up to the factory, and we made 2.5% on every bathroom built. So that idea is what we patented. We called it a customizable digital product. And what we did was productize the process and show the industry how you could do so. Fast forward, just before we got ready to actually roll out a marketplace for these components and start building them for other people, Slate acquired us. So fast forward now to where we are. And now the idea of productized process has really become the forefront of how we actually can provide insights, or what we can do with the digital assistant. So I can touch on that, and I'll dive in deeper there when we're ready. But that really is how that's evolved. And my career path, I guess, has fallen into into where I am today. And, you know, at 35 years old, the career path put me in a position that I have been able to really strive to do things better through computational design, through technology.
You know, I bet your rugby, you all get in the scrum, and you know, it's all these bodies, they're interlocked, and you got to figure out the best way to, get the ball out to the, anyway, you look at that, and that's basically your story. You had all these moving parts, different guys there, they're playing the field, but the same thing here. You're an architect, you're a surfer, you're doing this, you're a rugby player, but all those things actually came to mold you to where you are today. I always put things with sports. I love talking. I don't care if you're a surfer, a ping pong player, whatever. You play sports, you're a competitor. So, and you always have to be flexible, because sometimes you get into a game, you have a game plan and it's not working. You got scrapping. You got to be flexible to move someplace else, right?
Yeah. And I think, the sports analogy, I think that's really, maybe it's just all the head knocks that I'm so crazy and have such a risk appetite. But I think and I don't really like to use the word entrepreneur, but as an entrepreneur, as somebody that sort of has that risk appetite and through that haven't been sort of held back from changing career paths or starting new businesses and striving for that, I think that's really what the high level of rugby taught me is how to just dig in and get it done, and how to just go for things and not have that fear of holding back, or, and I think that's resonated through business. It's resonated through my career path, and really, especially in construction, it's a tough business as it is, but then throw in, the guys that are out there with their own businesses and going for it. It's a real tough business to make it work. So,
AI has kind of a good, good guy, bad guy, sentiment these days, because a lot of people say, oh, AI is going to get rid of jobs, but, on our side, AI is improving. If I can have, like, let's say I'm building a tall building, and I've got to put in, AC ducts, and, a manual guy, he might not get it straight, or he might not have everything done exact. But if I can have an AI machine do it, everything is perfectly, everything's done perfect.
Yeah.
You program it, just like you do the CNC machine. You program it, every piece that comes out of there, it's going to be like identical. So,
Yep.
it's one of those things. My thing with AI is it just has to be implemented in the correct way. You're still going to need people to build those machines. You're still going to need people to, unload. Well, there's still going to be manual labor in construction.
I think that's it, right? And I think that the last 2 years, through everything we've been through, has really shown us that technology can facilitate us to do it better. And it's not to replace us; it's to help us do a better job. And when I talk about Slate and what we're building, I point to some of the products out there, and one of them is Ways. The Ways app. We put in, we want to go from A to B, and traditionally you would come across all this intersecting data, all these things that would happen to us on our way to getting to the shops or getting to work. And something like Waze now can look at it and it can say, look, there's a crash ahead. But if you turn left, because your knowledge, you know that if you turn left, you can avoid it. But there's roadworks to the left. So actually you're better off doing a U-turn and going back around on yourself, and you'll get there better. And that's a prime example of where artificial intelligence and technology can help us do better. And then I think the second part of that is really through Ways, it's really your knowledge. You might override that, or you might do something. And now your knowledge, which is uniquely yours and got you there better, can transcend the individual and help other people do it better. And I think that that's really where the major opportunity sits here in construction, is that so often we're making decisions on site that we don't have all the relevant data. We don't have the ability to actually look at it that way. And then what you make a decision on site building something, and we work for the same company, I'm not going to be able to make the same decision. I don't know that your decision got you there better. It's uniquely yours. And so this idea of building organization intelligence as well is something that really resonates with me when I talk about productized processes. When I talk about when we want to move construction, we want to move the needle forward, we need to do better at actually understanding that the IP is really in how we build things, in our process, on how we deliver. Yes, we talk about industrialized construction and offsite manufacturing products, but for me, the real product here is the process, is how we actually deliver these projects. And I think that that's where the major opportunity lies.
So when looking back, at March of 2020, were you in the States at that time?
Yeah. So funny enough, it was just as Splash Modular really started to move along. We weren't building bathroom pods, but we were starting to hit some revenue targets because bathroom pods were being implemented on projects, and we were really humming. And the software side of the business was evolving. We were looking at raising capital. We're actually in North Carolina, based in North Carolina. It was an interesting time throwing Aussie into North Carolina, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for me, and I really got to embrace the US lifestyle, the South. But yeah, we were in the mix. We were starting to hum along, and it really started. It threw a spanner in the works, right? It was, but again, being agile enough, and being with the software backbone, we were able to adapt quite fast and leverage the technology. Again, leverage technology to put us to where we needed to go. We weren't sort of stuck in the mud. We were agile enough that we could move around and transform the business model to really go after the software side.
Where were you in Raleigh? Were you in Raleigh? Where were you?
I was actually in a place called Southern Pines, or Pinehurst. A lot of people know the golf course there, right?
Right.
So yeah, Southern Pines, just outside of Raleigh. You have
you're only about 2.5 hours from the coast, Wilmington.
Yeah, so 2.5 hours to the beach. Still not much surf there though, or 2.5 hours to the sort of Tennessee to the mountain ranges. So there's a lot to do. Made buddies with a bunch of special forces guys there, and got to embrace the real American life. It was cool. It was a great time. But yeah, definitely an eye-opener. Well, having everything happen and being stuck in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Listen, I can think of worse places to be stuck. Trust me.
Yeah.
I
For
can think of
sure.
worse places. That's not the worst place to be stuck.
Yeah.
I did my stint in North Carolina. I was in Greensboro, but I knew that the beach was still 2.5 hours away, and good people, nice place to live. Don't get too cold in the winter. Nice, plenty of golf courses, and very cool place. And
Yeah.
well, we're back. Joel lost his power down in Fort Lauderdale. Like I haven't had that happen to me before this summer. So, God, being flexible. Now he's on his cell phone. Talk about moving on a dime, just like on the construction site, apropos for our conversation. So, Joel, before you lost the power, and I saw you were frozen, we were talking about, looking over the last 30 months and, depending on what state you were in and, how companies operated and being construction. And if you were working on essential projects, those things kind of just went along as they were. But looking back at your own firm, some firms, were completely remote, some were hybrid. Everybody did it differently depending on where they were, in the country. But, talk about, kind of your firm, how you kind of made it through the roller coaster as we come out of the tunnel here, as we've opened up and things trying to get back to normal.
Yeah, look, I think that the biggest thing there is being agile, and so ironic that the power cuts out and here I am on my phone, right? But it was being agile, and I think that it's also how we looked at it. And it was, we had a business of building bathrooms, or of selling the bathroom pods, and the loss of revenue, we could have sat there and cried it out, but instead we looked at it and we said, look, the technology and the software that we're building here, this is the perfect time for us to be agile and pivot and really push on that. And then that led to the acquisition. It led us to probably being a little bit early with the product in terms of software and what we were trying to sell with the value proposition. But again, it then led to the acquisition. The acquisition then led to now being part of Slate. And as we've been in Slate, what a perfect time for us to build a software platform. What a perfect time for us to really dive in and start to build something that is going to change the industry. And really building a technology platform or a software that's going to help facilitate us to do a better job, leveraging technology, which is, again, something that we've all become so used to now. So there was a sort of resistance to technology in a lot, but now we've really embraced it, and we're better for it. Our lives are better for it, I believe. We're able to really sort of have our time, work remotely, do all this stuff, be connected, be together. It's really helped us to do that. And I think that as that moves forward and we look at what we're building with Slate and technology, the adoption of technology can help facilitate a better way of doing things. And it really has showcased that, I think, in the last 2 years. So again, it's how you are agile, how you take a positive spin, a positive look at it. It's something that, a way that I've lived my life. As we talk about the career progression and everything else, it's just a way that I've lived my life. So I'm thankful for it, to be honest. It's been interesting. I think for construction as well, I'll leave it here with the note that it's really pushed us to look at how we do things better. It's really pushed us to look at how we adopt more offsite, how we adopt more industrialized construction. Something that we were starting to, but it was really an inflection point for us to really move the needle and start to adopt a bit more. So,
I'm a judge on the Modular Building Institute awards every year, and I critique, retail hospitality projects and stuff. So, I always like the modular portion of things, building things offsite, bring them in, sliding them into kind of like a filing cabinet per se. And, with bathroom pods, like for a hotel or for, a building, resident, whatever it might be. And, and being consistent. So they're all accurate. And, with technology, just like here, today, I could have, before with the shutdown, I was going to do my podcast, on the construction sites, maybe for a month. I was using Zoom, but very rarely. Now everybody uses Zoom. They all tell me that they're sick of it, but you know what? I'd rather do a Zoom call for 15 minutes and get in my car and go drive 3 hours for a 15-minute meeting when I can do it right here, or I can do it on my phone on FaceTime or whatever application that you want to do. And this is just made, and look at me, I was a print face-to-face guy, an event guy, and now I'm 100% digital. I am doing a hybrid event in January, but still I'm doing it virtually. And
Yeah.
because I want to, I want to get, the people across the country that don't want to make the trip, but they still want to hear maybe my keynote and be able to have some conversation, just like we are right now. And this is not going away. It's just not, and it's been kind of like a catalyst. And I also look at retail. Retailers, they got to refresh their even hoteliers. Everybody's got to put fresh paint, new fixtures in, carpet, keep the stores looking nice. And really, it was an opportunity to get rid of some of that dead weight, in the real estate portfolios. All those buildings that might have got their leases broken or what have you. They're going to be picked up by something else. They got to figure out what they're going to do with them, but someone else is going to have to build them. You're in Florida right now. All my hearts still go out to Fort Myers and that whole western side. They got whacked by Ian, but there is a positive in there. The negative is people lost everything. And it's no power, and it's going to take a long time to rebuild all that stuff. But from a construction point of view, it's all going to have to get rebuilt. And the biggest thing is to build it the right way. So if there's another storm that comes in, we won't have that kind of damage. Just like we were talking before we got on, on here, artificial intelligence could be very, very crucial in that, designing, like we were talking, hey, the storm surge was, 12 feet, 17, whatever it was a historical storm surge. Well, how about building those houses up high enough that the storm surge is not going to get on there, and building the code and, so we don't have to deal with this again. So technology is an amazing thing. It's how you implement it and go with the flow. Just like you were frozen and boom, we're right back.
Well, and I think that it's technology really was like it enables that transition and it helps facilitate that. It's not replacing anything, in that it's helping us do a better job. And I like to use, when I'm explaining Slate, I like to use the analogy of a recipe, right? And at the core of Slate, we talk about digital assistants, but at the core of it is this idea of recipes. And just like my great grandmother's chocolate cake, it's got passed down over generations, and we've done it better, and people have added to it. And although that recipe is a piece of crumpled paper or folded paper in my mum's top drawer, that idea that the intelligence is built over time and that we've tested it and adapted has actually, that foundation of that recipe is really what has enabled that chocolate cake to get better. But when we talk about rebuilding and we talk about lessons learned, I think that that's really important, and that's something that artificial intelligence can really help us do. So it's not about replacing. Using the recipe analogy is at the core of Slate is the idea of recipes, construction ideas, taking that and making a chunk of tasks, which is essentially a recipe, like a chocolate cake, build over time from an organization and understanding how we do it better. So like we said, with ways, transcending the individual, that we now know there's a better way to do it, it's storing that and then making sure that the right data gets to the right people at the right time. And so to close that out, it's really to look at it and say, the chocolate cake recipe, I've got it, my sister's got it. She's going to do a great job. I'm going to mess it up, right? And this is where artificial intelligence and the digital assistant can really help. I'm whipping the eggs. If I've messed that up, I want the assistant to be able to say, because of previous knowledge or because of knowing and looking at intersecting data, it can actually say, throw the eggs out, start again. You're not going to save them. And this is really what we're building at Slate, is the idea that you have a recipe, and how we engage with things and we build that knowledge over time can be stored, and you can have a digital thread. But then the digital assistant can help us do it better. It can deliver the right data to the right people at the right time to make sure that they make better decisions. And then the decision you make, looking at the impact of that, can come back, it can be analyzed, and it can evolve over time. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what we've built at Slate, but also in technology across the board. When we talk about Waze, when we talk about any of this other stuff, is how it can really help us do a better job. Just like our phones help us through Google be smarter, essentially. We can quickly find the answer to something which we couldn't before. Or like this, that Zoom, we can jump on, we can do a podcast, we can interact with people across the US, we can get this story and we can talk about all of this and broadcast it out. There's so many wonderful things to technology, and I think it's really, the adoption of it isn't something that should be feared by anybody.
Look, you were a surfer, longboards, short boards, lighter boards. I mean, you're still surfing. It's the progression. It's the progression of innovation. I was a lacrosse player. They used to use wooden shafts. Tight shorts, tube socks. Now lighter equipment. But it's still the fastest game on two, and it's still played the same way. It's just the equipment is just more improved, and I always look at my old when I talk to lacrosse players. I'll send a picture of 1982 against Air Force. There I remember my tidy whities and my wooden shaft, and now they got the bag pan. I'm like, look, it's still the same game. It's still played the same way. There's still some big
the chocolate mud cake's still a chocolate mud cake, right? It's
exactly.
just I'll argue that my grandmother's chocolate mud cake's better than yours because of the evolution, right? And exactly. So it's just, I think, but then when you actually, the major thing here is that as technology advances, it's going to help us all do a better job. So I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you. So if you were going to leave one positive thought or phrase with our listeners out there, with your diverse background there, what would it be?
Yeah, so it's actually, I've got it tattooed on my arm. It's life is a manifestation of the conversations in your head. And I think that is something that resonates when we talk about business. We talk about we talk about, what's happened over the last few years. We talk about all of this stuff. It's really how you look at things. It's how you interpret them and how you react to them that is how you'll manifest your life. So if we continually look at things negatively, and we look at technology negatively, or we look at things that are happening to us negatively, then that's really how our life will resonate. But if we look at things positive and we take a positive spin on things, we fill the positive bucket a bit more, then life will actually manifest in that way. So it's something that, through my career path, as I've been agile and not been scared to adapt and take different paths, or even, through my sporting career, whatever it is, through technology, it's really that I'm continually looking at how the things that happen to me or the things that are happening in my life is really how I look at them, and I take a positive spin, and then that's how my life is always, how I'm 35 and really have been able to have such a successful career so far. And I think that's just how I live my life, and it's something that I preach to a lot of people, is really how we've got to look at things, how we've got to adopt technology, how we've got to get through some of these crazy times that we have. So yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm all about I'm taking a digital class. I'm in a boot camp for 12 weeks, and every Monday I take like a 4-hour from 6 to 10. I'm online with a group of 10 people, and anyway, learning stuff every week. But the biggest thing is mindset and getting rid of negativity. And negativity is just the worst thing that you can have. Don't, if you're surrounding yourself with negative people, cut them loose, get rid of them. You don't need them. They're just dead weight to you. You got to stay positive. You're going to make mistakes, but you got to learn from them. But that negativity and having a positive mindset is going to get you so much further whatever you're doing. I don't care if it's sports, baking a cake, freaking making modular bathrooms. It doesn't matter. If you have a positive mindset and you're willing to accept, your mistakes to learn from them, it's not a bad thing when you lose, because you learn how to beat that team down the road. Just like when you learned how to surf, how many times did you fall before I like I said, I'm a sports. I always go back to sports. It's winning or losing.
And I think that, when I talk about technology and we talk about what we're offering here with Slate, it's really, I had this discussion with someone yesterday, and it was like, well, for us to go and create a recipe, for us to take this move to get into Slate and do this, there's this and there's that. And I was like, but what if you don't? What if you don't? And the project manager that made a decision today, there's a positive result of that, but the project manager on the other project down the road doesn't know that was made, right? And you don't start to build this organizational intelligence, that you're going to be continually making the same mistakes over and over again. And it's exactly that. It's like, why not, right? Take a positive spin on this, look at it positively, jump in, embrace it, and start to move forward.
Yeah, I like the recipe analogy, man. It's awesome. Hey, all you guys out there, on that construction site, you got a recipe going on there. Use the AI and make it better.
Exactly. The way that we build all our buildings is based off of recipe, chunks of work, chunks of tasks that are repeatable. No matter how we look at it, I believe that every project needs to be unique, and it will be unique because of a lot of intersecting data, because of contextual and situational data. But it's all fundamentally still the chocolate cake, right? It's all fundamentally still the same methods and approach. And all of us that work in construction, that is our value. That is what makes us, that's what makes my chocolate cake better than yours, is how I do that. So by laying a digital thread, it's essential to you starting to be able to move forward and really build your IP, build your product.
Awesome. If someone out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk wanted to run something by you, or find out what your grandmother's recipe is, the secret recipe, or what have you, how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, so best by email. So it's joel.hutchins@slate.ai. So joel.hutchines@slate, SLATE.ai. Send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Let's chat.
Awesome. For those of you who want to reach me, I'm at davidc@ccr-mag.com. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. I know you're tired of me saying this, but I always tell you, if you don't send me content, I can't find a place to post it or put it in the magazine or what have you. It's like buying a lottery ticket. If you don't buy one, you can't win. So, send me stuff. We love it. It's a win-win. I post it, I send you the link, you share it, you help each other's SEOs and all that stuff. And, and we look at everything. And it could be a golf tournament. It could be a chocolate cake recipe. It could be any of those things. Send it to me. I like putting all that stuff up there. You know what the amazing thing is? Before the shutdown, I used to just put construction stuff up there. Now everybody realized that they've got other stuff other than just life. Work. They've got a life. And so now I post all sorts of stuff. How to buy exotic cars. What's the best iPhone? I even have, half my circulation is female. So I even have ladies they'll send me posts about how to buy the right extensions and stuff. I put that stuff up there. Maybe some of the guys would have put that on there. I don't know. Half the time guys are girls these days. I can't, I don't know. But I put it up there, So but it's amazing. The digital, information is addictive. It is, you just want more of it. And that's why I think AI is so cool, because, the more that we learn how to manipulate it in the correct way to help things, it's just, wow, man, what else can I do with it? And well, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Sorry the power went out, but look, guys, boom, we're right back at it. It's amazing. Flexibility. You got to be able to, like I said, it's like sports. You went in a halftime, get your tails kicked, scrub it. You come back out, you win the game. Power went out, boom, we figured it back out in less than 2 minutes. So anyway, Joel, pleasure speaking with you. I look forward to meeting you in person. No fist bumps. I'm going to shake your hand. And look, Florida's got some nice surf. It's not Australian tubes or anything like that. But the bottom line is, if I come down there, I'll bring my wetsuit. I'll have to rent a board, but I'll get back out there. I'm sure I can still get up. And it's been a while, but still, and we'll go do some tubes. Whatever. And, if you ever get up in the ATL, we'll go out in the boat and we'll do some wakeboarding or some skiing. So
sounds good. I'll take you up on it. And thank you for having me. Great to be on
listen, we appreciate you, getting up early here in the morning. And for all you out there, Commercial Construction Coffee Talk, look, it's the middle of October. You got Halloween coming up. Then you got Turkey Day and Thanksgiving. And then you got Hanukkah, Festivus, Christmas, holidays. And then boom, this year's over. Close the books on 2022. It's going to be there before you know it. And then January is coming up. And listen, our summit, it's going to be hybrid, January 26th, 12 to noon. Noon to 4, EST. I'm gonna have all the Atlanta locals in the studio I'm doing it at. So if you're out there in Atlanta, we'd love to have you. I'll feed you some lunch. Got a great speaker, and we'll do a little meetings, and then we'll close it out with a fun activity. And it's right down from the Braves Park. So afterwards, everybody wants to go to the bar and hang out and so forth. The Battery is an awesome place to go to. And so put it on your calendar, January 26th, noon to 4. And look, you can come in virtually. And if you're local here in Atlanta, hey, you can come in person, sit in the studio. So we'd love to have you. But Joel, thank you so much for being a guest on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. And to all of you out there, have a great rest of the week. And if you're out there on the construction site, remember, stay hydrated, be safe, most important, okay? With that said, we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. And Joel, look forward to meeting you in person. All right, man?
Yes, likewise. Thank you.
All right, man. Cheers.
Yes.